The 10th Amendment is an amendment to the United States Constitution that states that the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. This means that the federal government only has the powers that are explicitly granted to it by the Constitution, and the rest of the powers belong to the states or the people. The 10th Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights, which was ratified in 1791 to limit the power of the federal government and protect the rights of the states and individuals. There have been many judicial cases that involve the 10th Amendment, as different parties have challenged the scope and limits of federal and state authority. Here are some examples of such cases. In Prince v. United States, 1997. The Supreme Court ruled that part of the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act violated the 10th Amendment. The act required state and local law enforcement officials to conduct background checks on people attempting to purchase handguns. Justice Antonin Scalia, writing for the majority, applied New York v. United States, 1992, and held that Congress cannot compel state officials to execute federal laws. In Bond v. United States, 2011, the Supreme Court ruled that a criminal defendant convicted under a federal statute implementing an international treaty had standing to challenge her conviction on 10th Amendment grounds. The defendant, Carol Ann Bond, had tried to poison her husband's mistress with toxic chemicals and was charged with violating a law that was enacted to comply with the Chemical Weapons Convention. Bond argued that the law exceeded Congress's treaty power and intruded on state sovereignty. The court unanimously held that Bond had a personal right to challenge the validity of the law under the 10th Amendment. In National Federation of Independent Business v. Sebelius, 2012, the Supreme Court upheld most of the provisions of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, ACA, also known as Obamacare, but struck down one part of it as violating the 10th Amendment. The ACA required states to expand their Medicaid programs to cover more low-income individuals who risk losing their existing federal funding. The court ruled that this was a coercive and unconstitutional condition imposed on the states by Congress, and that states had the option to opt out of the expansion without losing their existing funding.